My 48 male, daughter 21, Arya, abandoned us, her stepmother, younger half-sister, and me, when she was 15 to go live with my enabling ex-wife, Sandra, and her husband. Until then, we had 50-50 custody, but Sandra's always been less strict than me. She's always let Arya do what she wanted and has never had any house rules. She also buys Arya everything she wants, so she'll want to live with her. Sandra lives in the same town where Arya's high school was, while I live 25 minutes away. So one of my rules was that if she went to meet up with a friend there, meaning I had to drive her, the next time they met, it was her friend's turn to come. If the friend's parents didn't want to drive the kid here, Arya wasn't allowed to meet them again while she was with me. Everything was fine that way for years. The significant fallout happened in her last year of high school when she was 15. She went on a trip to another country with her school and didn't bother to send more than a couple of texts when she was away for 5 days. So I decided to ground her because she had to learn to show respect and love for her family. She insisted she had sent the messages to her mother, but we had barely heard from her. She's never had a lot of friends, but she had been invited to some popular girl's birthday party. So this was my punishment, not going to that party after forgetting about her family. She got upset and started calling her mother to come pick her up, but it was illegal to get her if it was my week. Plus, she wanted to go to her mother's because she would lift my punishment and let her go to the party. Her mother came by the end of the week, and I told Arya that she didn't have to come back if she didn't want to. I waited, but I heard nothing from her again. Her sister kept asking me why she didn't come back, and I didn't know how to explain to her that she didn't love us and preferred staying with her mother, her parties, and her free-of-rules life. Over the years, we've communicated through lawyers because Sandra has zero intentions of helping me get my daughter back. She finally has her to herself. They've been demanding that I pay child support, even now that she's 21 years old. I have to pay for that and for half of her college expenses by law. When Arya turned 18, an adult, I started adding up everything I had to pay in an Excel sheet that I sent to Sandra when I updated it. This way she knows what damage she's doing to our daughter. I expect Arya to pay her debt, but I gave Sandra the option to pay for her, to which she refused. We are now at $18K. Arya's been trying to get in touch again. I told her that we couldn't fix the emotional part unless we fix the money part first. She needs to prove that she doesn't only care about the money. Sandra says I'm an idiot, but I think she is, since she's done nothing but try to take my daughter away, and she finally has what she wants. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You want your daughter to pay you back for court-ordered child support? You're the biggest idiot ever. OP, you smothered your kid until you pushed her away. If you care about her, you would be trying to make amends, not demanding money. It's clear you don't care about her, and I hope she realizes that and doesn't waste her time or money that she's entitled to and does not owe you on you. I laughed my butt off when I read that part. He wants his 21-year-old daughter to pay him for the stuff the court ordered him to pay, and he was also required by law to pay? LMAO. It's like me waiting for my sons to turn 18 to tell them they have to pay me back for everything since the day they were born. Ha ha ha. Wait, no. I should be stricter and ask to be paid back since I got pregnant with them. Some people shouldn't be parents, really. This girl would have been better off with just her mother. I really hope the daughter can take the communication that OP sent her and the mother and file harassment charges against OP, trying to get the money that doesn't legally belong to him. OP, she was on a trip, a lifetime experience, and you wanted to punish her because you were butthurt? As long as she was safe, you should have encouraged her to get a life experience. You have no business being a father. You are the idiot, OP. You suffocated her. Not texting you during an international trip is not grounds for petty and vindictive punishments. You have trouble making friends? I'm going to undercut those efforts. You showed a complete lack of care for her feelings, and it's not surprising she wanted to live with her mother, if that's just one incident that you thought put you in a favorable light. I'm sure there are many more of you emotionally manipulating your daughter. I, male 30, have a younger brother who's married and has 2 preschool-age kids. He travels a lot for work, and his wife is a stay-at-home mom. When my brother left the country, he'd tell his wife that if she needed anything, she should give me a call. Then go on and on about how sister-in-law and the kids are my responsibility while he's gone. I never said I was okay with this, since my sister-in-law and I aren't on the best terms, but I try to help for my nephew's sake. My brother flew out of town for work last week. The next day, I got a call from his wife, asking if I could watch the kids while she gets her hair cut for her sister's upcoming wedding. I said no, because I already had to attend my girlfriend's art event. Sister-in-law pressured me, saying stuff like, "Art event isn't more important than your nephew's, and your brother's counting on you, and he said I could rely on you." The usual guilt-tripping nonsense. I said no means no, and hung up. Literally minutes later, I got a text from sister-in-law saying she was on her way to drop the kids off and I better not leave. I didn't reply. I just got dressed quickly and got the heck out of there before she came. My neighbor called, saying he saw my sister-in-law knocking on my door hysterically and checking my windows in an unusual way. I told him to let her. She would leave soon, and she clearly did after calling me nonstop. Hours later, my brother called and was mad, saying what I did was so childish and that I was a terrible uncle to bail on my nephews and my sister-in-law when they needed my help. I told him what went down, but he sided with his wife and called me unreliable, irresponsible, and a weasel. I tried to cut the argument, but he said he was disappointed in me and my childish behavior. But I thought that was too much, frankly. Sister-in-law was and still is incredibly upset with me, and my brother got back but refused to see me until I apologized, which is so hurtful of him. I wonder if I should have just sucked it up this one time instead of ruining my relationship with my brother like that. Not the idiot, not your kids, not your responsibility. Tell her and your brother to hire a babysitter instead of being entitled idiots who violate clearly established boundaries. If your girlfriend's art event isn't important, neither is her hair appointment. You said no, and that should have been that. You had somewhere to be. Art event isn't more important than your nephew's. My God, he should have just told her. A haircut isn't more important than your kids. OP, you didn't ruin your relationship with your brother. He and his selfish, entitled wife ruined their relationship with you. Text him that you're going no contact with him and his wife until they both learn boundaries, and apologize for trying to force you to babysit when you already said no. You need more spine with this kind of entitlement, and no one gets to determine your priorities but you. Your girlfriend's art is important to you, certainly more so than your sister-in-law's grooming issues, and nothing more needs to be said. Have people never heard of babysitters? You don't get to drop your kids off at someone's house for any reason, even if they are just at home cutting their toenails, unless they expressly agree, so please don't give it another thought. Your brother and his wife are being ridiculous. She had other options when you had other plans, and to try and force you into babysitting is actually the more childish thing to do. I think you need to give your brother space, knowing you're not in the wrong. He and his wife need to find other options for emergency childcare. Sister-in-law knew about her hair appointment far in advance of the day of the appointment. How dare she guilt-trip you and then tell you she's dropping her kids anyways? Your brother's an irresponsible and unreliable weasel of a parent himself. He goes out of town for work and dumps everything on his wife, who seemingly can't handle the kids by herself. It's funny because everything he used to describe your actions is actually how he and his wife are acting. Put both of their numbers on Do Not Disturb. You aren't their free last-minute sitter. I, 27 male, and my wife, 25, were recently at a family gathering. So we played Truth or Dare after dinner, and it was my turn. I don't like doing dares, so I chose the truth. So my sister-in-law, 20, asked me, if your mom and your wife were hanging off of a cliff, and you could only save one, who would you save and who would you let die? This was an extremely tough question, and I couldn't choose one. My mom, 55, was also in the room, so I answered, I'd do my best to try to save both of them, and we laughed it off. But after we got home, I thought about the question a lot. What if I had to choose one and had no other choice? After thinking about it for some time, I decided to save my mom because she was the one who gave me birth in the first place. I wrote it down in my private diary. I like to write down all significant things in my private diary. It has a lock system, so nobody can open it without the key. But suddenly I got a phone call and I decided to take it. I kept my diary open on my desk because I was going to continue writing after. But my wife, after finding my diary open, read what I had written. She then got extremely angry at me for writing that. I tried to explain, but she wouldn't hear me out and said maybe I should have married my mom instead of marrying her. I got angry and asked her what she would do if her mom was hanging off a cliff and me, but she didn't answer my question. She hasn't talked to me after that and making me feel like an idiot, but I'm also angry at her for invading my privacy and reading my private diary. So my question is, am I the idiot for writing in my private diary that I would choose to save my mom over my wife? You are the idiot. You made vows to your wife, not your mother. In sickness and health, till death do us part. Did you not pay attention while getting married? And did you not pay attention to the part where the wife snooped in OP's private diary? This isn't everyone's the idiot here, because even though we don't agree with his choice on this, OP is essentially being punished for his own thoughts. He didn't share them publicly because he knew it was a bad idea. Also, your sister should not have asked a question where the answer would hurt feelings in relationships, whichever way it was answered. As a mother, I would be very sad if my children put me first over their own families. I raised them better than that. You are the idiot. This is too big of a thing to keep from your wife. Knowing it, she might well choose to make different life choices without you. Because yes, from the looks of it, you should have married your mother. She did not even snoop. Specifically, it caught her eye when you left it lying there. Difficult, but I'd say no idiots here. I would be slightly heartbroken if my partner chose his mom over me, to be honest. And for me, the choice is clear, although I love both. Taking that into account, it's not that unreasonable to be hurt for a bit, especially with how dismissive you were about it. On the other hand, it's an impossible hypothetical, and there's no good answer there, so she should get over it tomorrow. The diary? If she walked into your office and the pages were open to that admission, is she really an idiot? Lock your nonsense up if you decide to write stuff like that. I'm 19 male, and my girlfriend is 26. The relationship is going well. She's sweet and cute, and we have fun together. However, it bums me out when she has to travel for work, because then she'll be gone for days and days and it just sucks. This past Thursday, I had the idea of getting some friends together at my girlfriend's apartment. She was out of town. She usually comes back Thursday nights though, and she gave me a key, mainly in case of me needing to print something last minute or other quick things like that. So a few people came to the apartment. We weren't breaking stuff, just having a good time. Because it wasn't out of hand and just a few people, I didn't give her a heads up. I figured if she comes home and there are people here, people that she knows, it'll be fine. If she comes home after they leave, cool. She comes home and everyone else senses an eruption and leaves. She calls me an idiot for using her apartment for, as she called it, Party Central, and told me I lack maturity and respect. I offered to help with the cleanup, which I was going to regardless, but she kicked me out. But not before telling me I needed to learn better decision making. My case to her was that this was never going to be some wild rager with broken TVs and smashed tables. It was just a hangout. I was going to clean up. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Reread the reason why she gave you the apartment key and see if hosting a get-together was part of that. No, it wasn't. There you go. Also, who wants to come home from a work trip not knowing their guest? Even if they live together, the lack of a heads up alone would constitute an idiot move. Dude, you need to stop dating this lady. You're not ready. This is like throwing a party at your parents when they're out of town. Come on, you knew this wouldn't go well. I get you're 19 and immature, but that's no excuse for lacking in common sense and respect for your girlfriend's residence. You said it yourself, that she gave you a key for quick things, but nothing of the sort that you've pulled in her apartment. Why is a 26-year-old woman dating a 19-year-old boy? Huge red flag. She's a working woman. He's barely out of high school. What does she expect? Of course, he's a kid, and he's going to behave like one. Everyone's the idiot here. You guys are probably at very different points in your lives. I also want to say everyone's the idiot here because she's expecting maturity from a kid and someone she's nearly a decade older than. If she wants maturity, she should date someone her age whose frontal lobe is fully developed. She's a weirdo and shouldn't be involved with a teenager. But also, if you're using someone else's space, you ask first. It's not your home and you have no right to invite folks over to someone else's house regardless of how you know them or if they let you stop by occasionally. I, 25 male, grew up in a very tense and stressful environment. My parents were very old-fashioned and still are. My younger brother, 18, is nonverbal. He's such a sweet person, and I only want the best for him. I raised my brother until I went off to college. My parents did the bare minimum, such as buying clothes and cooking. I moved out at 19 to attend college and moved into a cheap apartment. My parents decided that taking care of my brother was too much for them and moved him into the apartment without telling me. I did my best to make it work while in college, but my brother didn't like being in a new environment. After I graduated, I landed a job as a dispatcher for a government agency. One of my friends helped take care of my brother while I worked. I got an offer recently that pays twice my salary in another state. I live in a colder environment, and the location is down south. I did accept the position and found a better apartment. I knew it would be too much for my brother to move to a new environment, and I told him about the move. He was not thrilled with the news. I told my parents about the new job and location, and that it would be best for my brother to move in with them. They were unhappy with the news and started accusing me of being a horrible brother. I told them that it was my decision, and they did not have a say. Am I the idiot for choosing a new job over taking care of my brother? Am I getting this correctly? So, when you were 19 years old, your parents quite literally dumped your 12-year-old nonverbal brother with you while you attended college and worked afterward? In no known universe are you the idiot. They couldn't cope with the responsibility of a child with special needs and guilted you into taking care of him, or else you wouldn't be a good brother. I'm sure that you are a great brother and possibly the best parent that your brother has in his life. However, you also have your life to live, and he should not be your responsibility just because your parents don't want him to be theirs. You are not the idiot. Not the idiot. Your parents are the ones who need to be responsible for your brother, not you. He's your brother, not your son. You are entitled to live your own life. If they can't cope, they need to find professional help, not dump them on you. Your parents are not old-fashioned. They are horrible parents. Good luck with your move and the new job, and maybe hold off on giving your parents your new address. Bro is probably eligible for Medicare. Depending on his type of disability, he might be eligible for certain types of job training or activities that will enrich his life. If, God forbid, OP got hit by a truck, what would happen to Bro? OP, can you talk to your brother's former school? A doctor? Your brother is eligible for help. Both of you are growing up, and becoming more independent is part of that, for both of you. Best of luck, OP. Also, you are not the idiot, and your roommate sounds awesome.